After a gruesome battle with the floor boss on the 18th floor, our heroes recuperated and went back to the dungeon for more action. Just like my ex, only this time they added a new member to their squad, Yamato Meikoto. After a successful raid in the dungeon, all three returned to the bar to celebrate. While they were having a good time, a little kid approached and started to provoke Welf by downgrading his status. Out of frustration, Welf threw his beer at him, starting a huge ruckus in the bar. All of a sudden, one of the warriors speed-blitzed Welf and gravely injured Bell, almost choking him to death before another high-level adventurer stopped the brawl. Later on, Hestia congratulated him for holding his own and was very proud of him until she heard which familiar they were up against. At the guild, Ainatule reprimanded Bell for his actions and advised him to stay patient next time. As he was heading out, two messengers gave him a letter to deliver to Hestia. It was a letter from Apollo inviting them to join his grand party. Leaving them no choice, they all dressed up in formal attire and joined the lavish party at his esteemed mansion. The party was filled with all sorts of people and fallen deities. Hermes showed up with his companion, and so did Lady Freya, looking stunning as usual. Being the host of the party, Apollo gave a speech welcoming everyone, while Loki and Hestia were knee-deep in their argument. You know how crafty Hermes is. He saw the opportunity and made it his mission to assist Bell in asking Ais for a dance. After a few motivational speeches, Bell went for it and found himself in the middle of the dance floor with his crush and idol. However, their reunion was cut short when Apollo demanded retribution for the bar incident and challenged Hestia to a duel. Winner takes all. Obviously, Hestia refused and left the party on fumes. The following day, she explains to Bell how the challenge was a ruse and the main intention was to start a war to destroy their familiar. As they were heading out, Bell noticed a fire burst heading their way and quickly jumped to her aid. As they looked up, several adventurers from the Apollo familia had planned an invasion and were set on capturing them at any cost. Bell tried to fend them off, but they were too many in number and was forced to retreat while carrying Hestia. On the roof, the two messenger girls warned him to stand down and explained to him how resistance against Apollo is futile. But when has Bell been the rational thinker? He ignores them and heads into an alley where he starts fighting lower ranked adventurers in hand-to-hand combat. Just when he thought he was done, the guy who gave him a beating in the bar showed up. Cleo. He proceeded to slash Bell's body and show him the difference in their power. Bell was no match for Cleo and felt worthless lying on the ground. He was kicked around like cattle when arrows shot from a distance saved him and Hestia. His allies showed up and gave them room to breathe. Lily and Welf also made an appearance and helped them escape. Unfortunately, Lily ran into a former master of hers who commanded her to return to the familiar at once. Hestia and Bell made their way to the Apollo mansion, where Hestia blatantly disrespected Apollo by throwing a glove at him and accepting his challenge. Everyone from the Apollo familia rejoiced. Nevertheless, news came from Welf that Lily was abducted. Bell realized how weak he still was and went to ask help from Ais, who agreed to train him. In a separate part of town, Lily was scorned by her former master after having been abducted by the four-eyed creep, Zanis, who belonged to the Soma familia and demanded 10 million from Lily if she wanted to regain her freedom. They locked her up in a cage and informed her that she was a valuable specimen due to her transformation magic. It was later revealed that she wasn't abducted, rather, they made her a promise not to hurt Bell, and she succumbed of her own volition. Hestia and Welf, however, were plotting to set her free and are seen strategizing a prison break. Bell is training rigorously with Ais, while Apollo grows anxious inside the royal court, awaiting Hestia's arrival. When she finally made an appearance, they decided on what victory would entail. If Apollo wins, he'll have Bell, and if Hestia gains victory, she can ask any favor she likes. In order to determine the type of battle, they let Hermes draw lots, and it was announced that it would be a full-on castle siege, with Hestia on the offense. Later on in the night, they attack Soma's stronghold and rescue Lily from the evil grips of Zanis. Lily returned home safely. Welf went to Hephaestus looking for help, and Bell, well, still grinding to grow stronger. It was time for the battle, and they were all loitering around waiting for Bell, who came back looking fresh and confident. Hestia bid them farewell and told them she had faith in them. On the chariot, the common folk were encouraging Belle to teach that pompous prick Apollo a lesson. The day of battle finally arrived, and everyone was tuned in to watch, including the gods in the royal auditorium. The lands went silent as a lonely female adventurer was seen in the distant horizon. She unsheathed her swords and started blasting lightning and fire at the castle walls. Must have been the work of Welf, who was instructed by Hephaestus. Her magic swords seemed cumbersome to deal with, so they went outside in order to confront her. While they were busy dealing with her, Yamato slipped in between the cracks and started wreaking havoc from the inside. Her quick strikes and nimble movement were no match for the soldiers. Unbeknownst to them, Lily had disguised herself as one of the soldiers, and after infiltrating their castle like a Trojan horse, opened the gates for Belle and the others to enter. Belle and Welf made quick work of the sorcerers on their way inside. Cleo awaited his presence inside the throne room, assuming Belle was still weak. He gravely underestimated him, because Belle destroyed the throne room in one fire blast. Talk about an impressive feat, huh? Not only did he obliterate the castle, but he also broke Cleo's sword in one swing, making a fool out of him in front of everyone watching. While Belle was distracted, Cleo launched an attack at him, knocking him to the ground. However, Belle sprang into action and delivered a lethal southpaw jab, ending his career. Everyone was pleased, and Hestia couldn't wait to make Apollo pay. It was then declared that the winners of the siege were the Hestia Familia. After the siege ended, Lily returned to her master and made peace with him for leaving abruptly. He acknowledged her gratitude and wished her well. As a result of winning the battle against Apollo, Hestia demanded his mansion and a buttload of cash for renovation. The Hestia family gathered around the table to celebrate their victory and made a toast for Belle's achievement. He moved up to level 3 and can now take on complex tasks with higher rewards. They all voted for him to become captain, which brought a huge smile to his face. Hestia, on the other hand, was living her best life. Crowds of adventurers flocked to the mansion seeking to join her family. Lily was scouting any potential hotties to eliminate from the selection, since they might steal Belle away from her. Hestia was feeling herself, and her confidence was in full swing when Yamato gave her a scroll from Hephaestus, declaring the debt for the sword she made. When Belle took a glance at the hefty price of 200 million, he immediately fainted, and the crowd vanished without a trace. While he was lying unconscious, the rest of the members assured Hestia that they would help repay her debt and that she need not worry about a thing. Everyone was anxious about the unprecedented revelation and decided to visit the newly built custom bathtub. As Belle and Welf were having a conversation, Hestia couldn't help but eavesdrop. As the conversation grew juicier, Yamato and Lily joined her as well. Belle spoke kind words of everyone and made them all nostalgic and emotional. After all was said and done, everyone headed to bed when the door rang and Yamato went to check it out. Someone then showed her a picture of her former friend in a brothel, leaving her speechless. The brothel was run by a goddess named Ishtar, who controlled an entire district solely to entertain desires and promiscuous activities. Yamato stealthily sneaked out from the mansion and went to the pleasure fort, but she was followed by Welf, Lily, and Belle. As they went deeper, Belle was unable to handle the temptation and started blushing and grimacing as usual. Eventually, Lily and Welf caught up to Yamato, who explained to them the situation and why she needed to save her friend, who was once a royal in her hometown. Belle, on the other hand, got lost and was bombarded by beautiful women from every side. Luckily, he met Hermes, who gave him a potion to induce lust, and went on his way. While he was running after him, he ran into one of the concubines named Aisha, who started to manhandle him and take him to the palace to consummate. Belle is then surrounded by gorgeous prostitutes prepared to take his innocence. However, amidst their argument, he slowly snuck out and entered a room where he met Haruhime, Yamato's friend. Assuming he was one of her clients, she tried to seduce him, but ended up falling unconscious on the bed. When she awoke, Belle explained the situation to her, and they started to converse about their pasts and their passion for books and heroes. She told him how ashamed she felt stooping so low as to become a prostitute, and how selling her body for chump change made her feel worthless. Belle assured her things would be all right, and then escaped the district with the help of Haruhime. While all this was happening, Hermes delivered an item of great importance to Ishtar, which could possibly shift the balance of power among the gods. Ishtar is preparing to wage war against Freya. Thankfully, that whole ordeal with the concubines was behind him, and he returned home only to greet an angry and jealous Hestia waiting to scold him. Yamato tried defending his honor, but all to no avail. Hestia finalized her verdict and deemed him guilty. As punishment, he was to clean the streets till he learned his lesson. Albeit the punishment didn't fit the crime, his crew showed up to help ease his burden. As if Hestia's punishment wasn't enough, Aini started screaming at him for visiting the red light district unsupervised. She then explained to him how powerful they are and that their captains once defeated Lady Ace in combat. Bell went out of the guild feeling dejected and went to the library to read a couple of heroic tales when he started reminiscing about Haruhime and the awful condition she was in. Meanwhile, Aisha visited Haruhime to ask her how she was holding up and handed her a gift from her hometown. They were candies she cherished when she was a kid, native to the Far East region. Just then, Yamato started talking to her through the window, but Haruhime ignored her and acted like they never met. She then returned to Bell with a sad look on her face and told him of what happened. Hermes interrupted their conversation to deliver urgent news to Bell. He informed him how he delivered a rare item called the Killing Stone to Ishtar and then proceeded to get up and leave, confusing the two even more. Back at the palace, Ishtar commanded her concubines to retrieve Bel at once, since she caught wind that Freya was interested in him and wanted to thwart her plans. Aisha managed to ambush Bel in the dungeons and overpower him, leading to his capture. Prior to capturing Bel, it is revealed that she used Haruhime to gain a power boost, and is the reason she was able to easily defeat Bel. Her strikes were more potent than usual, and her strength was greatly amplified. Even though they were both level 3 adventurers, it was evident to Bel that something wasn't right. When he awoke, he found himself locked up in a torture room, staring at a horrendous-looking toad woman, Phryne. While inside the castle, Aisha and the rest of the concubines were trying to search for Bel. Phryne starts tantalizing Bel as her appetite grew worse by the second. As soon as she stepped out to fetch her torture device, Haruhime snuck into the chamber and set Bel free. Meanwhile, Yamato used her ninja skills to infiltrate the castle undetected. She snuck into Ishtar's main office and learned of the atrocious secret behind the power of the Killing Stone. Bel was being escorted inside a secret tunnel when he confessed his plans to save her from slavery and prostitution. She started sobbing, but informed him it wouldn't be possible since Ishtar needs her to be a sacrifice of a ritual. One of the gods, Take, explained to Hestia how a killing stone is used to transfer power from one being to another, and that they were planning on using Haruhime's power boost to bring an end to the Freya Familia. As soon as Haruhime and Bel reached the surface, Aisha swept in and took hold of her, threatening Bel not to go anywhere near her. She told him how she was a precious sacrifice, and Bel objected but was sadly chased down by the other concubines and was forced to flee the scene. After a lengthy pursuit, Bel and Yamato managed to hide from the concubines, while Aisha took Haruhime back to the palace. After careful consideration, Bel was unable to leave her behind and convinced Yamato to go save her. They went back to the castle, where Bel blasted his way to the top. His fire was no match for the concubines. At the main gate, the Hestia Familia launched their own raid and barged through the front entrance. Amidst his search, Bel ran into the ugly-looking toad lady, who was powerful enough to swat his blasts as if they were flies. Suddenly, Bel found himself cornered and was about to succumb when Ishtar stepped in and commanded everyone to leave. She declared her intentions of domination and informed him of how she planned to destroy the Freya Familia once and for all. While Haruhime was being escorted to the ritual ceremony, Yamato intervened in hopes of saving her, but was unable to cope with the onslaught that awaited her. She tried her best to hold on for dear life, buying enough time for Bel to break the sword and end the accursed ritual, leaving everyone shocked and mortified. Fire erupted in the castle, blazing through the walls and burning everything in sight. Ishtar looked down in dismay as her empire was crumbling before her eyes. From a distance, she spots Freya leading the carnage. And yes, she is looking as stunning and ferocious, just like my ex. After destroying the sword and crashing the ritual, Bel protects Haruhime from their sinister machinations. Phryne wasn't going to sit back and let him take her, though. She launched an attack that sent him flying. Haruhime seized the opportunity and granted Bel a boost of power using her magical ability. With this newfound power, Bel rushes at Phryne with all his might and manages to keep up. Soon enough, the boost of adrenaline allows him to cut her face and slash her down. Just when he thought it was over, Aisha unsheathes her sword and demands a duel for Haruhime. Their duel is much cleaner and professional, almost like two master swordsmen engaging in a sparring session. Regardless, with Haruhime's ability, Bel was unstoppable and managed to defeat Aisha as well. On top of the tower, Freya seduced and bewitched Ishtar's subordinates, leaving her all alone and vulnerable. Ishtar tried going in for the attack, but Freya dodged and slapped her back to the heavens. Upon her death, a radiating beam was seen reaching the skies, signaling the death of a fallen angel. After the whole debacle was settled, Aisha switched sides and assisted Haruhime in joining the Hestia family. She threatens Bel to protect her at all costs and bids them farewell. Hermes then meets up with Bel and informs him of how proud he is of him. Everything seemed to be going great for everyone. Things went back to normal. Lily and Hestia started arguing like a broken record, and Bel, still clueless as ever, I fear. He met up with Hephaestus while strolling idly and sat down to have a chat with her. She gave him pieces of advice on how he should lead his love life and why he needs to protect and care for those he holds dear. Who knew Hephaestus was the wise one? But trouble came knocking once again, and this time in the form of Ares, who kidnapped Hestia to make a statement. Unfortunately for him, Bel and Aias teamed up to bring him down, and he was obviously no match for Aias's superior techniques. However, amidst their scuffle, Hestia accidentally slipped and fell from the cliff. Bel jumped to rescue her, but they both ended up falling into the water. Luckily for them, they were saved by an old man who gave them some food and a clean room to sojourn in. Aias was also with them to help keep them secure. The village was quite lively and friendly, and Bel decided to return the favor by helping out however he could. After he was done, the old man summoned him to his room and gave him some fatherly advice on how he needs to treat Hestia and why he should cherish and kowtow her. Seems like Hephaestus foresaw everything. Later on in the night, a feast was held in their honor and everyone enjoyed it thoroughly. But guess who came knocking once again? Yap, trouble doesn't know when to quit. The old man became seriously ill and was bedridden. Everyone came to say goodbye, and then Bel, Aias and Hestia continued their journey back home. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe to stay updated on future content. And hold tight for part 3 of this series.